I'll just paste the link on our matrix. YouTube stream. Just give me a minute. Yep. So let's start. Tilo, can you give the permission to screen share? You're not audible.
Sorry. You can go ahead. You should be able to share now.
Cool. Yes. The screen is visible?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the February Flatcar release team meeting. And so quickly going over with the introductions. Let's see if we have any new participants. I don't see any new participants. Peter, would you like to give an introduction?
Peter Pouliot from Ampere Computing. I work in developer advocacy. I'm here to, I guess, find out more what's going to happen in today's meeting.
Cool. Thanks for joining. So let's move on to the next section. So we have, so the agenda is we'll have some news. We'll discuss the state of the current release that we are ongoing, then the release planning, and then we'll finally close off with a discussion or a Q&A. So welcome everyone. We already did the introduction. Okay, release planning. So Jeremy, would you like to take this slide?
Sure. So, hi everyone. As Cyan said, I would be presenting this slide. So in the last community call, I believe Tilo talked a bit about the state of C groups on Flatcar. So as you may recall, Flatcar switched to C groups v2 in, I think, November. And since then, we've been monitoring how that has been received by the community. So we've had bug reports of issues that popped up since then. We've had feedback from various user groups of how this impacts them, and in cases in which C groups v2 does not work for them. So we are currently working on a way to ease the lives of people who would like to stay on C groups v1. And on the C groups front, we have three items of news. One is that Container D 1.60 has been released just last week, which includes a PR that we submitted to fix a resource leak that it had on C groups v2. So Container D switched to using iNotify notifications for our out-of-memory conditions, and on C groups v2 systems, it has been leaking these instances every time a container crash restarts. So that should be fixed, and this Container D version will be making its way through to all of the Flatcar channels. Kai talked about a script that he created for people who wish to take our AMIs, so this one is AWS specific, and post-process them to make them boot up with C groups v1. And I am working on a way to runtime switch to C groups v1 on first boot. So it will be a flag file that you can create through Ignition. and the node will start its life as a legacy C group node. So there will be no reboot required to switch. And we hope that this way we cover all use cases and people can continue running what works best for them. So expect that in a release coming soon. Thanks. Cyan, you can take over again.
Thanks, Jeremy, for the update.
Sorry, just one thing. I linked some content from the agenda in the GitHub discussions page. So there's a blog post about the containerd issue that has gone live today, and I also linked to Kai's paragraph in the documentation talking about the AMI generation script, and the runtime C group switch will also be documented on our switching to unified C groups page, which also contains instructions for returning to legacy C groups. Now back to you, Cyan. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the update. Moving ahead, so just to give a state of the release, we'll be doing alpha major version and beta major version next week, and the maintenance release for the stable and the LTS channels, and we'll be discussing through how things look when we are discussing our planning board. So quickly, okay, so just to give an update, on 4th of March, we are planning a documentation writing day. So the agenda would be very similar to on how we did it with the bug smashing, but here we'll be focusing on the documentation, and we'll be looking through the sections which needs more clarity, and building more docs for so that users community can make use of Flatcar in more better manner. Yeah, so keep that dates handy. It's 4th of March, which is coming soon. Yeah. And it would be happening on the Flatcar Matrix channel. Yeah, so let's move on to the planning board. Cool. So yeah, so just to give a small just to explain how things work. So we have 5 columns. Primarily, we have the to-do plan. We have the long-term blocked, in progress, and ready to review, and then the ready to release. The ready to release has the items which are already in the main channel or are into their respective channels, release channels. Ready to reviews are the ones are the PRs which are open to review, and anybody can do the review of those PRs. And then we have the in progress, where we list all the issues and the PRs which are currently in works. And then the long-term items would be the ones which we are primarily looking into long-term solving, and we'll be giving regular update on those items. And then we have the package update. We usually in the to-do plan, we usually list the issues we want to look into in the next release, and then the packages that we are planning to look into. So as of now, we have the list. You can see we have a bunch of packages that are which will be released in the next set of releases. A bunch of them are in progress, and we have a couple of backlogs. So if folks want to look into it, if you are open to contributing this, these are the packages that you can start looking into. And on the any issues that you want to team you want to get included in the release planning that we're missing, something you would like to add?
There is an issue about systemd, so I'm not sure what happened with systemd 249 for stable and beta, because systemd 250 was already merged, but 249 was not.
Yeah, so I was looking into it, and we did hit some issues with the with the e-classes. So I'll probably need to look into it again, but that's why since it was there for some time, so I put it back into backlog, because there is some in progress code, but it's not actively looked into. So, but yeah, we did hit some issues there. And right now, the thing that I'm looking into, there's a field built in Jenkins where you could see like the grid setup and the util Linux that is broke. So that's of focus right now for me. So yes, if you want to look into systemd, yeah, you could. But yeah, that was the issue, which is why I moved it from in progress to backlog. Yeah, and so, and for the 14th March release, we did have a bunch of packages updated to the backlog. So if you folks you want to contribute, you could also look into the backlog. And I would like if folks start to look more actively big, because as you see, like most of the backlog from the next release, which eventually move into like our 14th March release. So that would actually make a huge lot of packages. So we probably need to again cut it down. So folks, if you want to contribute, there's a huge load of packages that needs an update right now. And yeah, so is Kajimir there on the call? Oh, no. Anybody else who knows the update for the blocked items for the IP root and the Linux 5.16? How are we planning?
I don't know what Krajimir's state is, but I think it would be a bit early to ship these updates.
Okay.
Yeah, so the question with 5.16 would be also whether we want to do an LTS release based on 5.10 or 5.15. That's something to discuss. I think it's good to have a LTS release quite soon instead of waiting longer and longer.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah, so currently we are in the position where we could do this from stable with 5.10, or we could do it a bit later when alpha gets to stable with 5.15. Both are fine.
I think
yeah, but if we aim for 5.15, then we should not update to 5.16 now, because then it's like a problem that we create.
I think we're good with 5.10, given that that's an LTS release and it's been reasonably soaked in stable by now. I think the thing that we still miss in stable that we need to bring in is the C groups V1 option for deployment. Otherwise, I think we'll shy away a lot of folks from the new LTS. But as soon as we have that, I think we're good to wrap things up.
Okay. Okay, so I guess in that case, one thing I just wanted to know, like, Jeremy, how are things looking on, like, with the C groups thing? So are we planning to get it merged by next week? Because we would be starting the bids on Friday.
Yeah, I think by next week is realistic.
But the question is whether we directly put it in stable or like.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a bit hesitating to say that goes straight to stable. And I think a backport at some later point would be the nicer approach if we have it in beta and alpha at least for one release cycle.
That would make sense, but the feedback from users that we get was exclusively in stable. Do we touch anything? Do we touch anything in the regular provisioning chain for C groups V2? Like, is there a danger that this impacts the current stable which uses C groups V2 in a bad way?
No, not really.
Well, sometimes look. The folks who reported that back to us aren't currently using the new stable because they can't pick. With that option, they can start evaluating the new stable, right? And if you don't impact existing users of the current stable, I think we're good to go. In this case, that thing would need to stabilize in stable, and we would need to iterate on the input that we're getting. I don't think they'll switch to beta and have a look. Those folks that reported this issue to us. And if we need more time to spend on testing or on development, I think it's perfectly okay to push back the overall release a little, like just judging from the feedback that we got.
Okay. Yeah, I think this then can be discussed in more depth in Matrix. And we can totally move the releases in that case to probably sometime next week. We still have that anyway. Cool. Other than that, I think things looks good. We have merged a couple of packages in this release. Another thing to update is we'll probably also have the pro features in the regular images. So the GPU support would also be merged into the regular images in the next set of releases. Yeah. So anything else that needs to be added, or we can go back to the slides? I take that as a no. So let's move back to the slides. So yeah, so again, you saw that there are a lot of work that is ongoing and that needs to be done. So folks, if you would like to join, we have the regular Matrix channel where you can join. It's bridged to the IRC, and we also have a mailing list. You could also find our issues on the Flatcar Linux Flatcar repo, and then we are having the community call next month. So do join for spotlights and more introduction, more talks on Flatcar. And other than that, yeah, so do keep spreading the word about Flatcar and yeah, back to Q&A. So do you folks, anybody has any questions?
So if you want to take on and upgrade one of those packages that are in the queue for being upgraded, it's pretty straightforward. We have a number of talks and recordings online on how to do that. And we're absolutely here for supporting you. If you just want to take it on and you're unsure what to do, just speak up in Matrix.
I was actually thinking one thing, that if we could, now that we have a bunch of talks, but they are in different conferences, if we could just put them into a single place, into a repo, maybe the same Flatcar repo with talks folder and with the slides, and or just or read me with the description to linking to the videos.
It's a pretty great idea, yeah. Given that most of the videos are freely available, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Any other thing? No. So thank you all for joining. Have a great rest of the evening and see you in the community call.
Bye.
Thanks, Cyan. Bye.
Thanks, folks.